Good day, everyone. Today, we're diving into one of the foundational texts of Chinese internal medicine, Li Dongyuan's Treatise on the Spleen and the Stomach. Allow me to share my slides. It's- So, still sorry, problems concerning technology. There. This work completely changed how physicians viewed disease, shifting focus from external causes like wind and cold to internal balance of our own digestive system. Sounds ahead of its time, right? So let's see how Li Dongyuan did it. A note first before about the translation that I'm using. This version that we're using is translated by Bob Flaws, one of the most respected voices in Chinese medicine translation. He bridges 13th century wisdom with modern practice, making Lee's theories accessible and useful even today. You'll see eventually that these ideas, though ancient, speak directly to modern health issues. Here's where Li Dongyuan made history. He said, the spleen and stomach are the foundation of health, the source of postnatal chi, our vital energy after birth. Basically, he's saying if your digestion is weak, your whole system suffers. Instead of fighting only external diseases, he looked inside, linking chronic illness to what and how we eat. This is just revolutionary thinking at its best. Lee's first book dives into theory, talking about vacuity and repletion, the rise and fall of spleen stomach function, and how this affects all other organs. He even linked organ function to the seasons, showing that the body moves with natural rhythms. It's very holistic, balance above all. Now let's talk herbs. What's the principle of herbal formulas? Lee was also a master formulator. He organized every prescription like a government. You've got the sovereign herb in charge, ministers supporting, assistants helping, and envoys guiding the action to the right place. The key, balance and teamwork. Herbs that cooperate and not compete. Very interesting insight, in fact. But in all these, the spleen and stomach is the foundation. Lee emphasized that the spleen and stomach generate the chi and blood that nourish everything else. Without a strong digestive fire, nothing thrives. Not immunity, not energy, not mood. It's like saying, before you fix anything else, fix digestion first. And that's the where we see the importance of what he says. We can read, uh, the stomach is the sea of water and grains. Having entered the stomach, food and drink float the essence chi and transport it up to the spleen. The spleen chi spreads essence, which gathers in the lungs and frees the flow of the water passages. Li Dongyuan built his entire system on this fundamental principle from the Wang Ti Neijing. The digestive process doesn't merely extract nutrients, it generates the very chi that animates our being. That's why when these transformation fails, disease inevitably follows. The problem of dietary irregularity. Sounds familiar? Lee warned against chaotic eating, skipping meals, take note, skipping meals, eating at random times, or consuming too much cold, raw, or greasy food. He said these habits weaken digestion and cause chronic illness. His advice is simple: eat warm, eat regularly, and stop before you're stuffed. Simple, right? But very powerful. When we look at Lee's understanding, we see the modern epidemic, taxation fatigue. Lee described what we now call burnout or chronic fatigue, overthinking, overworking, and emotional stress, he says, all drains spleen chi. All drains spleen chi. And his message: balance effort with rest and nourish your center. Not just with food, but more specifically with peace of mind. There are 9 orifices in the body. When spleen stomach chi becomes vacuous, the 9 orifices, eyes, ears, nostrils, mouth, urethra, and anus, lose their proper function. This seemingly simple observation reveals profound clinical truth. Ear ringing, blurred vision, nasal congestion, dry mouth, urinary difficulties, and bowel movements all trace back to insufficient stomach chi. Rather than treating each symptom separately, Lee taught practitioners to strengthen the root, spleen and stomach, and watch peripheral symptoms resolve naturally. Let's look at the concept of yin fire. Now, here's a fascinating concept: yin fire. It's heat that comes from deficiency, not infection. It's like an overheating machine due to overwork. So if you feel hot, irritable, or feverish, but are actually very weak, that's yin fire. Lee warned, don't cool it down with cold herbs. That will make you worse. Instead, strengthen the spleen so the fire calms itself. So, yin fire operates in this way, no? There's a spleen qi deficiency or vacuity. Weak digestion fails to transform dampness, which obstructs yang qi. The life gate fire steers frenetically on its own. The stagnant liver qi transforming into heat and inflaming the ministerial fire. There's accumulated dampness that combines with heat, and there's just insufficient blood to nourish and anchor the yang. These five mechanisms does not exist in isolation. In clinical reality, patients typically present with three, four, or all the five operating simultaneously. Spleen vacuity leads to dampness. Dampness creates heat. Heat steers ministerial fire, and the cycle goes on. Understanding this interconnection explain why simple formulas often fail in chronic disease. Effective treatment addresses multiple mechanisms simultaneously, supplementing the spleen while clearing heat, coursing the liver while transforming dampness, and nourishing blood while calming ministerial fire. We see here a very interesting formula, Bu Zhong Yi Chi Tang. Li star formula, Bu Zhong Yi Chi Tang, means supplement the center and boost the chi decoction. It's a brilliant blend that strengthens the spleen, lift, lifts the clear yang, and restores vitality. This formula, Buchong Ichitang, is still widely used today for fatigue, digestion, and immunity. In short, it's a classic energy tonic. Let's look at some, and it's and we still see it present, huh? Let's look at some case studies. So, what's amazing is how modern his cases sound. One patient had chronic fatigue. Today we call that already chronic fatigue syndrome, no? CFS. Um, and another emotional depression. Uh, but let's look at this one first, chronic fatigue syndrome. A 44-year-old male presented with 1 year of severe fatigue, sore limbs, poor memory, dizziness, and loose stools. His tongue was pale with white, slimy fur. Pulse was saggy. All Western tests were normal. The pattern was clear: spleen chi deficiency with damp, encumbrance, and non-unbearing of clear yang. Treatment with a modified Shenyang Yi-Wei Tang, including Wang Qi, Tang Shen, Paiju, Fuling, and upbearing medicinals like Chai Hu and Shengma. After 21 packets, the patient's fatigue disappeared, strength returned, and eating and sleep normalized. This case perfectly illustrates Lee's principles. Treat the root, spleen, and stomach, upbear the young, and transform dampness. The other one is that of emotional depression. A 17-year-old male student became depressed after prolonged stress. He was listless, had poor appetite, lost weight, and couldn't sleep well. His tongue was pale with thick, slimy white fur. Pulse was deep and fine. The diagnosis: excessive worry damaging the spleen, with spleen deficiency and damp encumbrance. The treatment principle: fortify the spleen, transform dampness, boost qi, and upbear yang. Using Shenyang Yi Wei Tang with additions including Wang Qi, Bai Chu, Tang Shen, Fu Ling, Shunpi, Pansha, Chaihu, Shengma. The patient took the formula for 1 month. All symptoms remitted, and the case demonstrates how mental emotional problems often stem from spleen stomach dysfunction, and how treating the digestive root resolves psychological branches. Yes. So the lesson, the gut really is the root of the mind and body, and therefore the gut is really something we have to take well care of. No, you cannot not take care of the gut. It plays a very important role. Lee recognized that spleen stomach vacuity leads to defensive qi weakness, making the body vulnerable to external pathogens. This ancient insight aligns perfectly with modern immunology. The gut houses 70% of our immune system. Chronic infections, allergies, and autoimmune conditions often trace back to digestive dysfunction. By strengthening spleen stomach function, we simultaneously boost immune capacity. This explains why spleen fortifying formulas effectively treat recurrent colds, allergies, and even cancer when combined with other therapies. Let's look at another case of a recurrent urticaria. 36-year-old male with 6 months of urticaria, itching, abdominal pain, loose stools, and spontaneous sweating. Uh, the pattern, non-upbearing of spleen, stomach clear young, disharmony of constructive and defensive, wind, damp stagnation in the interstices. Treatment strategy modified Shenyang Yi Wei Tang with additions to secure the exterior, harmonize constructive defensive, and dispel wind damp. After 15 packets, rush completely eliminated. 2-year follow-up showed no recurrence at all. Let's look at this has something to do with the lungs and the spleen. Lee emphasized that lung qi fundamentally depends on spleen stomach qi. The spleen sends essence upward to the lungs, which then distribute it throughout the body as defensive qi. When the spleen is weak, the lung receive insufficient nourishment. This manifests as shortness of breath, weak voice, susceptibility to respiratory infections, and spontaneous sweating. Treating lung problems without addressing the spleen rarely achieves lasting results. Modern practitioners often miss this connection, focusing solely on the lungs when treating respiratory conditions. Lee's approach, simultaneously fortifying the spleen and supplementing lung qi, proves far more effective. Let's look at another case, and this is a case of chronic cough. A 79-year-old male had a persistent cough with profuse phlegm following a cold. Previous treatments failed, and he experienced frequent coughing when urinating, spontaneous sweating, loose stools, and fatigue. His tongue had white, slimy fur, pulse was fine and slippery. The pattern, downward falling of clear young. Treatment used Shenyang Yi Wei Tang, modified with additions including Wu Mei, Wu Wei Si, to astringe the lungs, and Yi Z1 and Pai Pu to stop cough. After 4 packets, cough reduced by half, and after 8 more packets, the patient was cured. Pills were prescribed for maintenance, and 1 year follow up showed no recurrence and excellent health. So, the dietary principles being suggested are quite interesting. Uh, Regular timing, which means eat at consistent times daily to support the spleen's rhythmic transformation function. Appropriate temperatures, where you have to favor warm, cooked foods and avoid excessive cold and raw food that damages spleen yang. No? So salads, raw salads, for example, is a no-no. Moderate, eat in moderate quantity. Eat until 70 to 80% full. Overeating overwhelms digestive capacity and damages the stomach. And lastly, clear and bland. Emphasize easily digestible foods and limit greasy, spicy, and fermented foods that create dampness. So, what are the foods to favor at this point? No? Uh, Grains, specifically rice, white rice, millet, oats, and well-cooked grains. Vegetable, you can eat cooked leafy greens, root vegetables, squash and pumpkin. Well-cooked vegetables, as long as they are well cooked, that's okay. We can look at chicken, fish, eggs, and small amount of meat also. Foods to avoid are cold and raw, like ice cream, cold drinks like soda, iced tea, milk tea, raw salads, and sushi, because they all damage spleen yang and create internal cold. We avoid also greasy and fatty, fried foods, fatty meats, and excessive oils overwhelm the spleen and also generate damp heat. Sweet and cloying. You are supposed not to eat sugar, honey, sweet fruits in excess. All of this creates dampness, and therefore something we need to pay attention to. Uh, and fermented also, no? Alcohol, vinegar, cheese, and bread can damage the spleen and generate damp heat. So, what are the lifestyle recommendations that we have? Lee didn't stop at food, no? Uh, he was about he was all about lifestyle balance too. He said, "Don't overwork, don't overstress, or don't overrest. Moderate activity strengthens the spleen, but pushing too hard drains your chi." He even talked about mental rest. Too much thinking or worrying literally hurts the spleen. Sounds like he predicted burnout centuries ago. And emotional health matters, he says. Anger, fear, or excessive joy all disrupts digestion. So mindfulness, laughter, and yes, silence, they're all forms of medicine. He also pushed forward the importance of sleep. Lee even broke down the body's repair schedule. the original Chinese body clock. Between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m., the gallbladder's at work. Then the liver from 1 to 3 a.m., storing and refreshing the blood. By 3 to 5 a.m., it's the lungs' turn, and they distribute defensive chi, your immune energy. And between 7 and 9 a.m., it's prime time for the stomach, which is why breakfast matters. Basically, the best healing happens when you're asleep early, deep, and also consistent. So here you see why prevention is superior, says Lee. Uh, One of my favorite Lee Dong Yuan quotes is basically the ancient version of an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. He taught that strengthening the spleen and stomach daily through food, rest, and emotional care prevents most chronic diseases before they start. It's a simple but radical message. Health isn't about reacting to illness, it's about cultivating balance every day. Let's look at modern applications. Now you might be wondering, do Li Dongyuan's ideas actually hold up today? Absolutely. Modern Chinese oncologists like Professor She Guangru actually base parts of their cancer treatments on Li's work. The idea is simple but powerful. When the spleen and stomach are weak, the body can't move fluids properly. Those fluids stagnate, mix with toxins, and over time can form masses or tumors. So, treatment isn't just about killing the bad cells, it's about strengthening digestion and chi to help the body heal itself. It's like supporting your garden soil before tackling the weeds. And there's so much wisdom there. Uh, And here is where East meets West beautifully. Modern science has shown that our digestive enzymes, the little proteins that break down food, play a big role in preventing disease, including cancer. Lee's spleen transformation idea lines up perfectly with this. If digestion is weak, undigested material builds up and stresses the system. But if digestion is strong, the body stays balanced and resilient. So, whether we call it enzymes or spleen chi, the message is the same. Good digestion equals good defense. Here's a great example of Lee's principles in action. A young man had chronic nephritis, his kidneys inflamed, his energy low, and nothing worked, not even steroids. The problem wasn't just the kidneys, it was weak digestion leading to damp heat buildup. By using a modified Shenyang Yi Wei Tang, a formula that strengthens the spleen, raises clear yang, and clears damp heat, his fever disappeared and symptoms resolved completely. It's a reminder to us that in Chinese medicine, the root cause often lies far from the symptoms. What is this chi vacuity fever? Now, this one's really clever. Lee discovered what he called chi deficiency fever. It looks like fever from infection because it's warmth, thirst, restlessness, but it actually comes from deficiency, not excess. Imagine your energy dropping so low that what little chi you have gets stuck and overheats. Just as I've said a while ago, like a car engine running hot because there's no oil. The mistake there can be found in something that is overused. Treating these with cold herbs. That just kills the digestive fire further. The real fix is to gently boost spleen chi and lift clear yang. Warm, not cold. Never cold. And this is where we see the role. There's a very huge difference between the two, right? The other one is high fever with aversion to heat, strong forceful pulse, that's excess, red tongue, yellow coating, see, all excessive signs, thirst for cold drinks, constipation, robust constitution, versus deficiency heat signs, low grade fever, tidal fever, so evening only fever, afternoon fever, weak fine or surging pulse, pale tongue with thin coating, thirst without desire to drink, loose stools or normal, weak fatigue constitution. So that's why he says if an insufficiency disease of internal damage is mistaken for an excessive disease of external contraction and subsequently treated with drainage, this is evacuating deficiency further. Death caused by replenishing repletion or evacuating vacuity is murder committed by the physician because it's just wrong. Lee's stark warning remains relevant today. Treating chi vacuity, fever with cold, bitter herbs that clear heat only worsen the condition by further damaging the spleen. The patient becomes weaker, the fever persists or worsens, and new complications arise. Correct treatment requires fortifying the spleen, upbearing clear yang, and using minimal amounts of heat-clearing herbs only as needed. And this approach addresses the root cause while managing symptoms also. Now let's talk herbs with personality. Lee often used acrid, windy herbs like chai hu and shengma, and they don't just release the exterior like in a cold, they lift and move chi upward. When the body's energy gets stuck and heavy, these herbs act like a spring breeze. They lift, disperse, and refresh. That's why Lee's formula often mix warm with cool, supplementing with dispersing. Then it's all about balance, dynamic balance, not rigid rules. So he teaches us even some more formula modification principles. He says, Lee, as is, no, didn't believe in a one size fits all medicine. He said, always start with the root pattern. So identify the spleen stomach issue first, then customize the herbs. Add, subtract, or adjust based on the person's constitution, season, and symptoms. It's like cooking. Same base recipe, but you tweak the ingredients to taste just right. So, here are some common modifications to Bujong Ichi Tang. For abdominal pain, add Pai Shao and Gan Chao to relax spasms. For headache, add Ma Jing Tze for general headache, Chuang for severe headache, Gaopen for vertex headache. For cough, add Mawang in winter, Wu Wei Tzi, and Mai Mendong in summer, and adjust Ren Shen based on phlegm. For constipation, add Tang Kui to moisten intestines or small amounts of Xuan Ming Fen for more severe cases. Add Wang Lian or Wang Qin to clear heat from the chest and drain glomus. And for dampness, add Wung Ling San ingredients minus the Gui Qi to sip dampness and disinhibit urination. Lee's formulas, Lee treated formulas like living things, adaptable, responsive, and always guided by the patient's conditions. Now let's look at the liver spleen relationship. Now, this is one of Li Dongyuan's big insights, the deep connection between the liver and the spleen. Think of the liver as a general. It keeps qi moving smoothly. The spleen, on the other hand, is the cook. It transforms food into energy. When the liver gets stuck, it bullies the spleen, making digestion sluggish and causing bloating or fatigue. But when the spleen's weak, it can't nourish the liver. So the liver gets tense, leading to irritability or cramps. So in treatment, Lee always balance both. Soothe the liver, strengthen the spleen. That's just true holistic medicine. Let's look at the case of a recalcitrant eczema. Here's a classic example, in fact. A man with stubborn eczema all over his arms, face, and back. Nothing worked for weeks. But Lee's system saw it differently. The skin problem wasn't just on the skin, it started with the spleen stomach weakness. Because the spleen wasn't transforming fluids properly, dampness and toxins got trapped under the surface, and that's what showed up as eczema. Once they strengthened digestion and lifted clear yang with Shengyang Yi Wei Tang, the rash cleared. Moral of the story, if you fix the root, the surface follows. So let's look at more ideas from him. No, he speaks of a constructive qi, yin qi, and defensive qi, wei qi. No, constructive qi or yin qi flows inside the vessels, nourishing the organs and tissues. Defensive qi or wei qi, on the other hand, moves on the surface, guarding us against colds and other invaders. Both come from what the spleen and stomach transform out of food. So if digestion is weak, both inside and outside, defenses suffer, like a fortress with no supplies. That's why Lee said strong digestion equals strong immunity. Now, how about spontaneous perspiration? Even sweat for no reason, even when you're not hot or moving, Lee called spontaneous perspiration. And he traced it back to weak spleen and defensive chi. When the spleen can't make enough chi, the body can't regulate pores properly, and fluids just leak out. His fix: fortify the spleen, secure the exterior, and herbs like Wang Qi strengthen Qi and tighten the pores. And yes, after a few weeks of treatment, patients stop sweating and catching colds. It's a very simple and elegant solution. Another case is a 35 one case described a 35-year-old man who would sweat even from mild activity and constantly catch colds. The pattern was clear: qi deficiency with weak exterior defense. And Li's method used Shenyang Yi Wei Tang again, this time with warming herbs like futsi and rogwei to protect and seal the surface. And within 2 months, no, the sweating stopped, immunity returned, and that's the power of addressing the real root and not just wiping away the sweat. We've looked at the lung chi connection, the spleen chi. We've looked at spleen lung. We've looked at the spleen liver. Now let's look at the spleen and the kidney connection. This is Lee calls these the relationship between the spleen and the kidney as the partners in power. The kidneys provide the fire that warms the spleen and helps it transforms food. But if the spleen's weak for too long, it can drain that kidney fire, leading to deep fatigue, cold limbs, and digestive sluggishness. So for chronic issues, Lee would often start by strengthening the spleen, then gently tonify the kidneys. In modern terms, fix the digestion before going deeper. And here we see the spleen's arch enemy, dampness. When the spleen can transform fluids, they hang around, creating heaviness, foggy thinking, and that sluggish, bloated feeling. Lee described three main sources: internal weakness, living in damp places. For us in the Philippines or living in the Philippines, this is really the case. And eating greasy, sweet, and or cold foods. Dampness is sticky. It clings and slows everything down. The solution, again, strengthen the spleen and dry out the damp. It's a sort of internal spring cleaning. A common complication of dampness is when it combines with heat. If that dampness sits too long, it mixes with heat, and we get damp heat. That's when things get trickier. Skin breakouts, digestive issues, burning urination, even gynecological infections. And Lee taught that you can't just clear the heat. You must also drain the damp. It's about restoring balance, not just cooling things down. Again, we see his genius. Treat the root, not just the branch. Now, one of the most favorite quotes of Li from Wang Tinei states that the four limbs are nourished by qi from the stomach, but only through the spleen. That explains why weak spleen function often shows up as tired arms and tired legs. Lee's advice: don't chase the symptom. Don't just say muscle fatigue. Strengthen the spleen, and the limbs will regain their strength naturally. It's simple, but also very profound. Now, blood vacuity or deficiency and the spleen. Now, let's talk about something Lee explained beautifully: how blood is made. In his view, the spleen extracts essence from food and drink. That's the raw material. The heart transforms it into blood, and the liver stores it for use. So if the spleen's too weak and can't transform properly, the body simply can't make enough blood. That leads to the classic signs: pale face, dizziness, fatigue, poor appetite. And here's the key: Lee didn't just give blood tonics, he went straight to the root, strengthened the spleen first, then the blood naturally follows. Let's look at the case of leukorrhea. One fascinating case was about a woman with persistent vaginal discharge that is clear, a bit smelly, and resistant to hundreds of herbal treatments. Most formulas made it worse because they focus only on draining dampness, not lifting qi. Lee's analysis: the spleen wasn't upbearing clear yang, so dampness poured downward. The treatment: a modified Shenyang Yi Wei Tang with herbs like Qianxi to astringe and Shanyao to strengthen the middle. And within a few weeks, the discharge stopped. And follow-ups, and after follow-ups, no recurrence for years. It's a perfect example of Lee's principle: when qi rises, dampness falls away. Lee's ideas obviously weren't just about digestion. They extended beautifully also into women's health. For leukorrhea, he said it's spleen weakness, letting dampness drip downward. So strengthen the spleen and lift the yang. For irregular menstruation, spleen vacuity leads to weak blood production, so supplement qi to make blood. Even uterine prolapse fits this pattern. Central chi literally falls down, unable to hold organs in place. His solution: up bare clear yang with herbs like Wang Qi, Sheng Ma, and Chai Hu. In all of this, it's not just about symptoms. It's about restoring the body's upward movement of qi. The pulse in spleen stomach patterns. Lee also gave us some brilliant diagnostic clues, especially through the pulse. A moderate pulse, that's healthy spleen and stomach chi. Soft, even balanced. A slow pulse often means cold or yang deficiency. A surging pulse, forceful and slippery, signals yin fire, that hidden heat from weakness. And a bowstring pulse, tight and rapid, shows liver tension pressing on the spleen. So, even without fancy machines, Lee could read the internal story from the wrist. But not just the wrist, he can also see it through the tongue. A pale tongue means qi and blood deficiency. Swollen or tooth marked shows dampness pulling from weak spleen transformation. White coating points to cold or phlegm. Yellow coating to heat or damp heat. And if there's little or no coating, that's long-term yin deficiency. The system's been drained. Lee's brilliance was how he tied these visual signs right back to the spleen stomach. Every clue came from the center. But there's more. Lee also said that treatment should follow the seasons. Nature's rhythm is part of the healing process. In spring, liver qi rises, so we support the spleen to prevent the liver from overacting. In summer, heat can damage fluids, so nourish yin and go easy on warming herbs. In autumn, dryness affects the lungs and stomach. And so we add moistening herbs. And in winter, when cold hurts yang qi, use warming herbs and support the kidneys to help the spleen. And during long summers, that humid late summer stretch, he said it's all about clearing dampness. It's basically the spleen's personal season. But he also said we need to consider the constitution of the person also. Lee also understood that not everyone's built the same. Some people are born with a strong digestive fire, others not so much. So if someone's constitutionally weak, he'd go gently, small doses, gradual strengthening. For stronger types, he could prescribe more robust formulas. The key lesson, always match the medicine to the person, not just the disease. Chinese medicine has always been personalized centuries before it became a buzzword. And finally, Lee also looked at age, how digestion changes over time. In childhood, the spleen and stomach are still developing. So kids need gentle, warm, easy to digest foods. In a young adulthood, digestion peaks. This is when we build reserves. By middle aged 45, 35 to 40, uh, spleen function starts to slow. So prevention and moderation becomes the key. And in old age, digestion really just weakens, meaning light meals, gentle herbs, and no over exertion. He was basically teaching us preventive gerontology uh, centuries before the term even existed. That's how brilliant this text is. Now, let's integrate it with modern medicine. Now, here's where Li Dongyuan's genius really shines. Even when compared to modern science, his theory that the spleen and stomach transform food into qi remains important. What we call digestion, enzyme activity, nutrition absorption, microbiome balance. This is what it is. When the spleen chi is weak, Lee said, we get dampness, fatigue, and inflammation. In modern medicine, it calls that leaky gut, metabolic syndrome, chronic low-grade inflammation. 8 centuries apart, but describing the same thing. Lee wasn't just asking about energy, he was describing physiology in poetic language. And this is validated in research. Yes, science has caught up. Modern studies on formulas like Bujong Ichi Tang shows real effects, improving digestion, boosting immune function, and helping chronic fatigue and metabolic disorders. Lab results also found these herbs enhance digestive enzymes, strengthen the intestinal barrier, and regulate inflammation. In short, modern researchers are proving what Li Dongyuan observed centuries ago, that when you strengthen digestion, you strengthen life itself. So, what are the practical implementation of these things? Lee wasn't just about theory. He gave very clear practical steps. Step 1, identify the pattern. Figure out what's really happening with the spleen and stomach. Step 2, choose the base formula that fits. Step 3, modify it, tailor the herbs to the person, the season, and the symptoms. Step 4, give lifestyle guidance because herbs alone can't fix bad habits. And step five, reassess often and adjust as things change. It's a cycle of observation, action, and refinement. Exactly like good clinical practice should do today. Uh, what are the common mistakes that we should avoid then? Lee even warned about common practitioner mistakes, advice that still applies for us today. First, don't just chase symptoms. If you ignore the root, the problem will come right back. Second, don't overdo cold bitter herbs. They can wreck the spleen if used carelessly. Third, don't treat. Sometimes the spleen needs a real boost, not a half dose. Fourth, don't forget lifestyle. Food, rest, and emotions matter just as much as herbs. And finally, don't be rigid. Chinese medicine is art as much as medicine. Adapt, observe, and balance. What's the legacy of Li Dongyuan? Li Dongyuan changed the direction of Chinese medicine forever. Before him, most doctors focused on external infections, wind, cold, damp, things that invade from outside. Li said, wait, the real battle is inside. Chronic disease comes from weakness of digestion, not external pathogens. And his ideas laid the foundation for centuries of practice. Later masters like Zhu Tangzi, Shangqing Yue built on his work, but they acknowledge one truth. What is the one truth that they acknowledge? Health begins in the middle jaw, with the spleen and the stomach. And today, we talk about gut health, immunity, or energy. We are actually echoing Li Dongyuan's words without even realizing it. So, how do we carry Li Dongyuan's wisdom forward? One, we study deeply, not just memorize formulas, but understand how the spleen and stomach connect everything. Two, we practice carefully. Tailor treatments to the person, not the textbook. Three, we observe closely. The tongue, the pulse, the emotions all tell the story. And lastly, we think holistically, always treating the root, not just the branch. In essence, Lee taught us to be thoughtful healers and not just technicians. Thoughtful healers and prac- not just technicians. And that brings us full circle. The treatise on the spleen and stomach isn't just an old medical book. It's a guide to living in harmony with your body. Lee's message was simple: strengthen digestion, live moderately, manage emotions, and prevent disease before it starts. In today's world of fast food, stress, and burnout, that wisdom feels more relevant than ever. So may we all remember health begins in the center, nourish the middle, and everything else will find its balance. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you've learned something from Lee Dongyuan also.